DIY.
So, shout out Off Record Sounds. It was some really good gems in here that I think are worth breaking down for those of you that are independent artists, for those of you that are supporting an independent artist in whatever capacity or producer. I think you'll all find some value in this. So the first slide says, being a one-trick pony or a master of none. And they use the example of the rapper DaBaby. DaBaby is probably one of, if not the best example to use for an artist who fell off for being a one-trick pony. Of course, there was all the other stuff, which is a lot of stuff just to call other stuff, but his musical stagnation hurt badly. Recently, Lil Baby has been another rapper that has faced similar allegations. Coming up off of specific sound is crucial, but relying on it when artists' evolution is needed is a mistake. At the same time, being good at a lot of stuff, but not excelling at one is also bad. Hit a pocket and evolve. I think sometimes the lines are blurred between an underground artist, an independent artist. They're underground because they're not visible in the mainstream. So when I first saw this post, I was like, why would you use DaBaby? But then it dawned on me, okay, there are artists right now that categorize themselves as underground simply because at some point they would like to be signed and be seen in the mainstream. Part of what helped DaBaby rise up to fame was the fact that there was a certain way that he would approach songs. It was his style. The same thing that rose him to fame ends up being the same thing that people end up criticizing when that artist doesn't make a decision or isn't given the grace to pivot. Consistency is important, just like in any branding. If Colgate or Coca-Cola kept changing the packaging on their product, you probably wouldn't remember to get them when it's time to purchase because you wouldn't know what the hell they look like. In the name of consistency, a lot of artists, unfortunately, ride that one-trick pony for too long.
And you mean to tell me that you're going to be passive with your own and just put it on your story once? Are you fucking crazy, bro? I'm still promoting my album that came out in June. It's a year out and I'm still out here like, call me if you get lost, like What I notice is that some of these the younger guys and girls, they like, oh yeah, I got a song out, and they forget about it. And I'm like, no, let motherfuckers know.
Great points made here. So Tyler was talking about artists that abandon their promotional process after working so hard on their artwork. This video went viral on a few different platforms. But the post here says, Tyler, the creator, said it best. It didn't spare any words when speaking on how artists nowadays are timid with promoting their art after releasing. Aggressively push your art. Especially nowadays, there's a lot of artists that tend to feel like there's an expiration date on promoting their art. If you're putting 100% into the art, you should do the same for the promo. Attention nowadays is so hard to hold on to. There is zero downside to unknowingly pushing your art. Just do it. I understand this one firsthand. It can be a real challenge to push the same content over and over and over again, especially when you start to see the numbers dwindle down, the comments are less. People are so excited when a project initially drops, but for anybody that follows an artist that does very similar content to promote one song, although it's valuable for them reaching new people, sometimes it can feel like it's a bit disengaged when it comes to the people who are already supporting. And I think artists like myself become hesitant about continuing to push the same thing over and over again. However, I think that concern has the solution sitting right there in it. You're pushing the same type of content over and over and over again. I think that a lot of artists expend so much energy into the creative process of creating the music, so much into how it's going to look on the first day release, aka the old music business model, that they're literally running on fumes after the first week the project's been released. They've been teasing at it. They've been putting trailers up. They've been talking to everybody about it. They have their release party, which feels like the climax, and then the project's out, and it seems like people are talking about it, and then they're talking about it just a little bit less. This is why I think it is important to not only get your music done before you're ready to release, but to also get as much content as you can done beforehand. So then that way, you look back at all the content you've created that has variety while you're still in the flow of being creative, while you're still energetic about this release nobody knows about. Stick to it and have so much content that you won't have to think of new ideas on the spot when the project already goes out. 10 to 20 vertical videos or assets that can be associated with just one song
that you plan on pushing.
Nah, and I'm still not content.
till I'm dominating every single continent. My shit go stupid, you don't think, then use your common sense. I DIY and I know that I'm a product. When they play that new king, all the DIYs go crazy. All the DIYs go crazy. When they play the new king, all the DIYs go crazy. All the DIYs go crazy. Next slide. Dropping a bad album after a major fan influx. For established artists or artists who are just starting in their career, dropping a bad album can be excusable. There's one point in your career where you just can't afford to. That point is when you've reached a huge influx of new fans. In today's day and age, these moments make or break artists' careers. It happened with Chance, Roddy, and many more. Usually as sophomore albums, you have to get these right as missteps are unrecoverable. Be 100% sure of it. I think certain things like this, you just don't know. You don't know what's going to be on the other side of those who are receiving your music. I think for a Chance, he had a lot of momentum and a lot of eyes and therefore a lot of expectations upon the project that he would eventually release as his first album. I think for us as independent artists, this is a hilarious video they have on loop in the background, by the way. We get a lot more grace because this is just one project in line with what our profession is, which is creating more catalog. I think another factor that doesn't get factored in for artists that are trying to get signed or that are part of a label situation is the decisions being made by suits that are not supposed to be in the booth. Keep the suits out the booth. Because they might have thought a lot of these things were good ideas and didn't have a pulse on the people. Something else you want to avoid, being a puppet to a label, signing too early. It is unfortunately the downfall of so many artists who deserved more for their careers. Signing to a label is the most enticing thing, especially as a young artist who wants virality. Recognize that a lot of labels just want to make money off you and don't always have your best interests in mind. Find a mentor, get a lawyer to look over to. A big no-no is usually signing to another artist too. Get people who believe in your vision, not just trend ride. Shout out to the writer here for off-record sounds. I think there's a lot of things here to dice down. When you sign and you become someone else's investment and they're fronting the majority of the money, they feel like they have a say in a lot of matters you may not be comfortable with. They'll make sure that these things are written in ink, written on your contract to ensure that even if you decide that you want to go rogue, we'll be taken care of. We'll have a life insurance that is 10 times the amount of money that you generated while you were here. When you know that that kind of thing exists, whether you're here or not here, I think a lot of people just do as the label says and they stop fighting. Because at some point, it's a lot easier to just go along with the program. That's when you get the funding. That's when you get the visibility. That's when you get them to work with you. That's when your fans get a chance to hear your music. Once you are in bed with these folks, once you sign that deal, once they have control because you said yes to money that you probably really needed. However, you also knew when you were signing the consequences that came along with that, which is just another reason I'm proud to be independent. Another reason why I am grateful, even though this shit ain't easy. The freedom is the reward for the hard work. The freedom to create whatever art that you want to create, even the freedom to fail. You have the freedom to drop a song that you were like, it's kind of experimental, it's kind of something different, and have your fans say like, it's not for me, and they not show up for the streams. However, you also can leverage the same audience and come back with something that's like, yeah, are we back to that? Are we on to this? Those are a few of my thoughts though. I'm interested in hearing, what do you think are some mistakes that independent artists make often? DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.